We're looking forward to seeking relief and getting a ruling that this rule can't be applied to kids in the future so that this never happens again.
In tonight's Big Story Breakdown, we are tackling rules for school sports. Here in the Sooner State, high school sports are governed by the Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association.
It's been around longer than you might think. The OSSAA formed in 1911 to create a sense of fairness for competition between schools. The early years of the OSSAA's history were primarily devoted to establishing eligibility rules and conducting state championships in basketball. But in the 40s and 50s grew to include all sports being offered to boys, then later girls. In 1962, the organization changed from an athletic to an activities association, which brought competitions in areas like speech, music, and drama, all under the OSSAA's jurisdiction. Now the association managed by a 15-member board of directors. You fast forward to today, we're hearing from parents and student athletes who are frustrated with the organization. A decision handed down by the board today will mean a handful of kids won't be able to play basketball this year.
The OSSAA says Rule 24, known as the linked rule, was violated. But the coach, school, parents, and students say that is not the case. Fox 25's Paige Taylor was at the meeting and has the details.
5 basketball players and their parents are upset today after a decision from the OSSAA Board of Directors means the players will remain ineligible for the upcoming season, but they say the fight isn't over yet.
We're here today to fight for our eligibility, not just me, but all of us kids, to hopefully be able to play sports at this school that we want to play sports for.
5 high school boys want to wear Glencoe jerseys on the basketball court this year, but the OSSAA received allegations Glencoe's new basketball coach, Garrett Schubert, recruited them to come play for him, violating what's known as the linked rule, making the players looking to transfer ineligible to play for a year. Schubert and parents, however, say recruiting never occurred. There are several reasons why players could be in violation of the rule, and while the reasoning was initially recruiting, it has now seemed to change. In this case, the boys have previously been coached by Schubert in AAU, and some of the boys did play in an AAU tournament this summer, but Schubert says he did not coach them. They also say the OSSAA executive director gave the boys the okay to participate in summer team camps with Glencoe before June 1st, as long as they followed the transfer process.
As soon as the portal opened from the State Department on June 1, they put their names in the portal. They did everything right. I have a document from my regional accreditation officer from the State Department of Ed that says you cannot enroll a student until their first day of attendance. And why the board does not want to look at that today, I have no idea, but I will not break the law.
Schubert emotional as he spoke in front of the board on Wednesday morning.
I would never knowingly do anything to jeopardize their opportunity to play the sport they love.
The board did not vote to approve the appeal, and Glencoe School's attorney says they will now be filing a lawsuit on Thursday.
The rules are very vague, and so it can be applied in different ways, so it's very confusing as a parent. We are operating in good faith and want to follow the rules. My son made a choice to change his schools, and he operated in the transfer policy. We submitted all the documentation needed. We feel like his eligibility should not be taken away.
Although the board did not approve the appeal, each individual player can now start to go through the appeals process. Reporting in Oklahoma City, Paige Taylor, Fox 25 News.
All right, so there's a lot of lingo and language here. Let's break down Rule 24. According to the OSSAA, a student athlete changing from one high school to another will not be eligible to be on a varsity team for 1 year if one of 4 different conditions can be proven. So let's take a look at the first here. If the coach at the school the student is transferring to coach the kid in a separate league prior to transfer. Second is if the coach was a private athletic instructor for the player before changing schools, regardless of whether the coach was paid for the training or not. The third condition, the student participated in a sports camp or clinic run by a member of the school or its coaches. The final condition is the player who played for a coach at one school followed the coach when they moved within a 12-month period. However, this last one, it doesn't apply for the coach's own children. Rule 24 re-implemented this past spring after the enforcement was suspended back in September because the Attorney General raised questions about it. AG Gettner Drummond sent the association this cease and desist letter claiming the rule conflicted with the Education Open Transfer Act. Drummond said in the notice Rule 24, quote, appears to solve a non-existent problem with unreasonable force would prevent eligible students from moving or transferring out of fear of being declared ineligible.
Earlier this year, the Edmond North High School girls wrestling team was temporarily suspended after OSSAA said they violated rules. The association said one parent went on the wrestling mat and another parent cursed at a ref. At the time, Edmond Public Schools appealed the suspension. They showed up to a hearing with evidence they believe proved they had multiple meetings with coaches, parents, and players, and also gave assurances these infractions wouldn't happen again.
Take this incredibly seriously. This isn't a joke to us. Behavior at events isn't a joke to me. I have incredibly high expectations for our district, for our principals, for our coaches.
OSSAA later reinstated the team, and throughout the season, an administrator from the school attended all the events. High school basketball teams in Oklahoma can now play some of their games with a little more accuracy. The OSSAA board voted earlier this year to allow 6A through 3A schools to use shot clocks of 35 seconds only during tournament games and as long as both teams agree. Officials plan to assess the effects on the game before considering making the change permanent.
Oklahoma lawmakers previously discussed whether homeschoolers should have the chance to get involved in public school extracurricular activities. Last year, State Representative John Kane heard opinions from both sides of the debate during an interim study. Some lawmakers expressed concerns about the Tim Tebow bill coming to our state, which gives homeschoolers the option to participate in after-school activities. We've seen similar legislation like this being passed in at least 20 other states across the country.
It'd be very hard for me to support something like this till I see some equality across the board.
What we hear more than anything else is the funding and the resource allocation piece to that.
The Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association shared its survey at its 482 partner schools and learned they don't want homeschoolers in public school activities. This interim study did not pass at the Capitol during this past session.
And that was your big story breakdown tonight. You can learn more about today's ruling and other recent rulings from OSSAA on OKCFox.com.
Plus, you watch all of our previous big story breakdowns on our YouTube page. Just scan the QR code or search OKC Fox.